So Fighter Pass 2 is crazy, right? Every fighter has been given so much love and care to be made so unbelievably unique, and every fighter in the pass is universally loved and a joy to play against. Which brings me to today's topic, Min Min. A lot of people have been talking about Min Min in a not so favorable light as of late, even though she's considered one of the best characters in the game and isn't for reasons that are necessarily fun to watch or play against. However, I'm not ashamed to say that I not only love Min Min, I think she is without a doubt the optimal choice for Smash to represent ARMS. Now I'm not gonna sit here and be like, but she won the popularity poll and Sakurai said that's who she wanted, or that everyone's the protagonist so it doesn't matter, or definitely not how she's absolutely precious, even if all of those points are true. Instead, I'm going to be systematically and methodically breaking down what every other fighter would have brought to Smash and ultimately why they would have been much worse. Instead, theorizing on why Sakurai and Mr. Ibuki wanted Min Min most. Now naturally, I won't be giving an extremely in-depth analysis of every single character, though I'm sure I'll be going over your favorite most likely. Also, as a disclaimer, I'm not attacking any of these characters as actual characters. I love every member of the ARMS roster, with a few exceptions. I'm mainly just focusing on why their playstyle would be worse than Min Min's. As a big fan of ARMS, I feel more than qualified to slander all these great characters. I guess there's no better place to start than with Springman. In those months between the announcement of ARMS coming to Smash and the reveal of it being Min Min, if you were to ask someone who the fighter was going to be, a lot of people would have said Springman. My biggest issue at the time was primarily about, why wait? If they were going to reveal the main guy from the game and the most obvious choice, why make us wait months to see it? Of course this is a bit subjective, but it just didn't make sense to me. I understand that people wanted him to be upgraded from his assist trophy status, and that would have been hype in its own right, but I just didn't get why people thought they'd try to make that a surprise. I kind of feel that way about Ribbon Girl too, but I'll get on her in a second. Though to be honest, I feel like he works best as an assist trophy. With the arm switching move given to Min Min, which would have theoretically been given to any of them, all three of her arms fit well on her. But with Springman, I don't really feel like any other arm works on him like the toasters do. Springman's gimmick is pretty simple, though albeit one people would not enjoy. You know how Min Min's dragon arm gets stronger when she throws somebody? Imagine that, but it happens when he gets to 100%, and it doesn't go away until he dies. Another thing Min Min has with this is it incentivizes the player to get in closer for a chance to become stronger, as opposed to her keeping very far away playstyle. Speaking of keeping very far away, that gives me a quick segue to talk about Ribbon Girl. Now her arms are pretty fine, nothing too toxic, something I'll get into later. But the biggest problem with Ribbon Girl is that the character with the longest reach on the roster shouldn't also have 5 jumps. Min Min's biggest disadvantage being her excelling with horizontal interactions but weaker with vertical interactions gives her a decent enough balance. That would be negated by Ribbon Girl's insane jumping abilities. I don't care how sick this black ult is, it isn't worth getting hit on every point on the X and Y axis. Moving on to the ultimate runner-up, Ninjara definitely has his poison darts that keep him from being a fun choice. For one, he's way too fast. Min Min's below average speed is another pretty fair compensation for her extreme range, and Ninjara would not have had this issue at all. Imagine instead of Min Min being the 68th fastest character, she was the 8th. Besides that, Ninjara would never take shield damage. In ARMS, when he's blocking an attack, he teleports to the side when it hits. Overall, I feel like the ninja archetype characters we have in Smash work so much better already, and I'd rather replace that R with an L for a new rep anyhow. Now it's time to talk about everybody's favorite for purely gameplay reasons, Twin Tail. Now for one, she doesn't technically use her arms, but if that's the reason you give to why Twintail isn't a good pick, you're probably voiced by Eddie Deason. There's plenty more to dislike about the Silver Screen Queen. Her biggest gimmick is, of course, her ability to slow down attacks. Now I know this ability has never been incorporated into Smash before, and we don't know just how useful or fun it may be, but just call it a hunch. Not to mention when she uses this attack in the air, she can keep herself suspended and float for a while. I just have a feeling that a character with this level of range should be able to disregard your attacks even more than usual, you know? Not to mention her actual arsenal, which most notably consists of the Chilla. Imagine PK Freeze with a much faster startup and can be sent out repeatedly with just a smash attack. The Parasol would have insanely tricky timing that I could definitely see being used to provide a ton of mix-ups. In the end, I don't think she's the worst choice, but she's for sure far from the best. As a lowly Incineroar player, the last thing I want is to be camped out and frozen. I'm already slow enough as it is. But on the topic of characters I love, I guess it's time to talk about Master Mummy. Now I've very openly expressed how much I love Master Mummy, and can you blame me? He's just a cool family guy. I'm certainly not ashamed to say I was more than hopeful on the reveal day.
Mummy! Please be Mummy! He got it!
But really, Master Mummy provides a lot of fun in ARMS, being their heavy grappler by having the best throw in the game.
Get the f*** off my property!
However, that heaviness is a big issue in translating to Smash. He's so heavy, in fact, that my big raggedy boy has Tough Guy, meaning that even without Min Min's reflector, projectile camping would only do so much from the big man's attacks. Not only that, but his shielding would actually cause him to heal, albeit in small increments, which would make him even harder to kill. No matter what, you can't escape the Grim Creeper. Now this character is of course still a dream pick for me, but I have to put aside bias and say that he wouldn't be all that fun to play against. Plus, he just seems kind of weird for the first rep from ARMS, right? I'll touch on a few more characters like that too later, but the vibe of first character from this series doesn't really feel right on Mummy, sadly. Though the same can't be said for the other big boy of the roster, Max Brass. Max was my second prediction for who they'd add, the first being Min Min, because Max really is the people's champ. As opposed to Min Min's Dragon and Ram Ram, all of Brass's arms have the same level of range, which would balance his bulkier size, although not really representing the variety of arms well. Brass's gimmick also revolves around a mix of Springmans and Master Mummies, getting his strength buff when he reaches 100%, and getting a powerful tough guy in the process. As a second rep, he's a great choice for sure, but I think Min Min definitely edges him out for the number one. Though another great choice would be the rad scientist Dr. Coyle. If you're looking for a pick that's relevant to the plot of ARMS, yes, there's a plot, Coyle leads in that regard by a mile, being the reason for 4 different characters' existence. Unfortunately, with a lifetime of working in a lab, leads to inhaling a lot of toxic fumes, and she is not afraid to exude as many as possible. For starters, she got no hops. Instead, she's always in a state of floating, which gives her not only the ability to rise and descend at will, but the ability to shield in mid-air. In ARMS, she's technically always considered grounded, so if this were the case in Smash, that would also give her the ability to grab in mid-air. Along with that, she can also summon a whole nother arm to give the almighty 3-shoot beating. Along with that, she can also become invisible when guarding or getting back up. In true Smash Bros. Fashion, they saved the cute short-haired woman who was objectively the best competitively for the last DLC edition. Though in this case, there's much more issue with this one when transitioning to Smash. One thing you have to remember with all of these characters is in ARMS, having insane range isn't a big deal like it is in Smash. So when thinking about Smash, you have to factor in their gimmicks on top of their crazy range. You're debating the cybernetic enhancements of a man with a gun before you put them into the Third Crusade. Whew boy, this video about slandering every character in one of my favorite fighting games is starting to get long. So I'm going to do a little rapid fire round before getting to the final talking point. These harken back to the doesn't really feel like a first rep point I made with Mummy, but without my added bias to give them a full segment. Kid Cobra's movement is way too good, similar to Ninjara, to be properly balanced, having insane jumping and speed after being charged, plus the addition of Icy Ramram gives him a bad taste in my mouth. Mechanica has Peach Float and Tough Guy, meaning that she's mobile and bulky, which are not a good combination in Smash, not to mention a homing missile arm, basically guaranteeing you won't be able to escape her. Lollipop has a shield arm for deflecting attacks and an attack that would either ink you or cover your screen, the former being more likely, though I think it goes without saying Lola's biggest offense being Italian. Bite and Bark's 2-in-1 style is perfect if you didn't think Min Min covered enough of the stage, and being another character with a homing missile is a no-go for me, though he was definitely one of my #1 picks for an ARMS assist trophy. I hate this guy. Creating a wall as part of your moveset is guaranteed to get Twitter and a titter, especially when said wall can be absorbed to give him an attack or speed boost, with the other possibly just giving him Final Smash. All his arms also deal poison damage, which is no fun. On top of that, he's just way too cracked at hoops, and I've been stuck on this Grand Prix run for months. Did anyone actually think it would be Springtron? I mean, his toxicity aside, why would you think this would be the case? You think we were getting Metal Sonic and Brawl? But don't worry guys, he doesn't have Springman's rage mechanic, which is in the copy's favor. He just has an EMP that disables your attacks if you try to get into his force field while active. This could either be interpreted as being stunned or having your shield broken in Smash, and either way that's a 10-0 matchup against Jigglypuff. Now that all those are out of the way, I guess that covers every fighter from ARMS. There isn't a single one left to cover, and we can call it a... Okay, fine. But you're not gonna like this one. I'm fully convinced that the people who wanted Helix in Smash have not played ARMS. This would be, without a doubt, the most toxic addition they could ever add, and it's backed up by his in-game stats alone. For starters, his height manipulation would be the actual worst. Y'all like Pikachu? Oh, we got you, brother, don't worry. Plus, his first jump would have him stretch up super high, not only giving the same issue as Ribbon Girl covering both axes, but unlike her, not being able to sneak under him and get away. We don't need another pancaker who can also hit high up at a moment's notice. Now you may be saying, oh Anerdymous, you silly man, that's easy to maneuver around, it's not like he has the most annoying arms in the game as well. Well then do I have something in store for you? Remember what I said about Lollipop having a shield and a weapon that inks you? Well, Helix has both of those too, but this shield not only blocks attacks, it stuns you. And that inking weapon is not only named the Blorb, which is disgusting, it also deals a lot of damage. And that brings me to his third arm. Now I've mentioned a few times earlier in this video that ice attacks are the absolute worst, and oh boy does Helix have the worst one of these. It's not only an ice weapon, it's an ice dragon, like Min Min's dragon, but with the extra fun of freezing you, giving you even less chance to recover from it. All in all, Helix's design could potentially be considered one of the worst possible video game characters for Smash, making him my least wanted to be in. I'm an avid ARMS fan, hell, I even like Helix in the game, but when it comes to Smash, I will make sure this goop ripoff never sets foot on the battlefield. And now, we've discussed every character from ARMS and why Min Min's balance makes her, objectively, the most optimal pick for Smash Ultimate. If I haven't convinced you and you still have a favorite over her that you would have liked to see for one reason or another, that's totally fine. Every character on the roster is amazing in terms of design and gameplay, at least when they're playing in their own game. I'll be a Master Mummy supporter until the day I die and am eventually reanimated to be with him for eternity, but in the end, Min Min's gimmick is simple enough to transition to Smash effectively, as well as not drawing too much away from her long-ranged focus. Her below-average stats help her stay out of unbearable by giving clear disadvantages, and come on, you can't look at that face and say she doesn't deserve her spot on the roster. Thank you so much for watching as I break down the complexities of ARMS for a really long time, and if you want me to talk about any other character this way, I can certainly try my best at it sometime. But until then, boyoyoing, spring-a-ling, and enjoy your ramen.